Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. In this one I'm starting something new, which is, as you might have guessed already, using a tier maker to do a ranking about a certain subject. And for my first one I wanna try to look at all of the Smash fighters and see which one has a higher chance of returning in a future Smash game, even if it's way too early for this. So let's get right to it, shall we? So right off the gate I'm going to do a special category for the original 12. These have been here since the beginnings on the Nintendo 64 and they are clearly not going anywhere. So we have Mario, Donkey Kong, Link, Samus, Yoshi, Kirby, Fox is here, Pikachu, Luigi, I don't know why there are some right here, but whatever. Luigi, Ness, Captain Falcon, and Jigglypuff. Now we get into the melee newcomer, and I'm gonna do a second category for the characters that are not going anywhere. So Peach, obviously she's not going anywhere. Bowser, no way he's getting cut as well. Ice Climbers. So they have been cut before, but I'm pretty sure everyone knows it already. It's only because the 3DS couldn't handle two characters together. Well, they couldn't handle half their work. They can handle several characters, but not them. So because they have only been cut due to limitation, I don't think they can be cut again. Sheik, she's a special case. She hasn't really been relevant in her own series. She's been in every Smash game since her introduction, which is 4 now, and I don't see her getting cut. So I'm going to put her here. Zelda, she's definitely not getting cut. Now we get into a weird one, Dr. Mario. So here's how I see it. Either Dr. Mario returns as his own slot, which is a bit stupid, but it's a legacy thing by Smash standards now, or he's going to be kept but made into an alternate costume, like Builder and Wedding Mario. So I'm going to do a different category for him, maybe here, but actually last one, and say, so I can see him returning, either as his own slot or as an alt. Now who's next? Pichu. It's a weird one because Pichu is the only representation for Generation 2. He's a semi-echo, so he does take some effort, but he's also been well received. So I'm gonna say I can see him returning, I can see him getting cut. Next we have Falco, and he's not going anywhere, he's been here since Melee. Young Link, pretty much the same as Pichu. In Ultimate, he's the only Link to be from Ocarina of Time. Adult Link and Cartoon Link are different characters, so he does represent something. This argument doesn't really hold much value due to Ganondorf, who returned to his Ocarina of Time design, and I don't see him getting cut. So I'd say Young Link is a little on the fence here. Who else do we have from Melee? We have Mewtwo. I know he's Gen 1, but it's Mewtwo. It's a very iconic and popular Pokemon, and I don't see him getting cut. Especially after the reaction that his Brawl absence caused, so I'm going to put it here. Well, he's been here since Melee, and he's the protagonist of the first game of his series. I don't see him getting cut at all. That said, we get Roy, and I could see him being on the fence as well. See, when Roy was included in Melee, it was kind of a bonus because they could reuse Marth's assets. Then they cut him in Brawl due to a lack of relevancy, and I think the outcry for him returning in Smash is because back in the Brawl and Smash 4 days, it's pretty much all of it he could have had. Now There's the Fire Emblem Gacha game, and there's Fire Emblem Engage to be a celebration of the entire Fire Emblem history. So I could see Roy getting cut without that much of an outcry, given he can get attention elsewhere nowadays. And Fire Emblem is kind of overwhelmed. I'm going to go back on that. And we have Mr. Game & Watch. He's been here since Melee. I don't think he's going anywhere. So we're getting into Brawl. Meta Knight, he's not going anywhere. Pit, I don't see him getting cut. He has been here since Brawl. Zero Suit Samus. I'm pretty sure she's here to stay as well. Wario is pretty much guaranteed to stay. And we get to our first third-party character, Snake, and I'm not saying he's unlikely, but well, really it all depends on Konami and if they wanna continue being associated with Smash. I'm really not sure. He could return, he could not return, so I'm going to put him here. Ike, honestly I could see Ike not returning. He probably will, but out of the Fire Emblem fighters, he really is the least unique to have his own moveset. Because Robin, Corrin and Violet all represent different things from their series. Roy, Chrom and Lucina have the excuse of having Marth's moveset as a base. Ike, he's just a sword fighter. And much like Roy, he has Fire Emblem Heroes and Fire Emblem Engage to get some attention from, but really I don't see him getting cut, but I wouldn't be shocked about it. Don't give Fire Emblem less, give other franchises more. So now we get into Pokemon Trainer. Similar to the Ice Climbers, I'm pretty sure Pokemon Trainer was cut because of 3DS limitations. I'm going to put them here. Basically, if they want the concept again, they are returning. If they don't want the concept again, maybe Charizard will go back to being solo. I'm not sure about this. So I'm going to put them like Dr. Mario. Next we have Diddy Kong. I don't think he's going anywhere. Give us Dixie and maybe a Funky Echo or something. Donkey Kong deserves more than 3 reps. The third one will go over soon. Lucas is very weird because by now I'm pretty sure he's the only fighter who hasn't appeared at all outside of Japan. But at the same time, there was an outcry about his removal from Smash 4, and Smash is pretty much all he has, so I don't see him getting cut. I don't think it's likely. Now we have King Dedede. I don't see him going anywhere. Much like the Donkey Kong series, Kirby deserves more webs already. We have Bandana D, Marks. We have a lot of options basically, but I'll leave it at that. We have Sonic. I don't see him going anywhere. Really, Sega has a reputation for being friendly in crossovers, and he's a gaming icon. That said, much like the 2 franchises I just mentioned, Sonic deserves better as well. I mean, they did somewhat improve his moveset since Brawl. He does need a special move reworks, side B and down B especially. But why not Shadow as an Echo Fighter? I hope Sega can allow this. Now we get Pikmin, where are they? Captain Olimar. He's not going anywhere, but I sure would like to see Alf as his own character, even as an Echo, and maybe some other captains, like from Pikmin 4 maybe? If Fire Emblem can have 4 fighters with the same base moveset, why couldn't Pikmin get a second rep? Even if the moveset is incredibly similar. Next we have Lucario. He's an incredibly popular Pokemon. I don't see him getting cut. He's still popular to this day. And Rob. Rob is an important part of Nintendo history. I don't see him getting cut either. Now we get Toon Link and Wolf, which are 2 characters that have been worked on for Brawl because there was a delay for Sonic. I don't really see Toon Link getting cut. It would be cool to cut the only newcomer Zelda has had since Brawl. Well, since Melee, sorry. Even worse. And Wolf, I'd say he's very likely as well, but the 2 are in a similar boat really. Now we get into Smash 4. Villager, he's from a very popular series. I don't think he's going anywhere. Mega Man, Capcom has been very friendly with both Smash 4 and Ultimate, so I don't see him getting cut. Wii Fit Trainer, I remember seeing a good amount of people saying, oh, Wii Fit Trainer is a one-time joke or something, she's definitely not coming back. But the Wii Fit series has sold a lot, and she represents the Wii games better than anyone else, which is a successful era of Nintendo, so I can see her returning. Rosalina, she's a bit of a tricky one. She's still a popular character to this day, but she's not as prevalent in the main series game as she was back then when she was an important NPC of Mario Galaxy, made an appearance in Galaxy 2 and a playable appearance in 3D World. Nowadays she's a lot quiet in the main games, so I'm going to put her, she's likely not to get cut. Next we have Little Mac. I know his series isn't really active, but he's unlikely to be cut. Really, Nintendo hasn't removed any of its franchises from Smash, except the Ice Climbers for reasons I've already explained. So, if we have a single rep from a Nintendo franchise, I don't see them getting cut. Now we have Greninja. He's still a crazy popular Pokemon to this day, so I don't see him getting cut. What might get cut, however, is the transformation for his final Smash. It's been removed from the anime and the games. It's probably gone if he's kept in the next game. Now we have the Mii Fighters. On one hand, I would say, well, they could cut them. They are used characters. They're in a league of their own because they're customizable. It's a very different history from the rest of the fighters. But at the same time, Mii costumes were a highlight of the DLC for both Smash 4 and Ultimate. It would be surprising to see them cut and not have any announcement for their costumes. So I'd say they're kept around, even if Mii's have been getting less and less relevant after the Wii U. Now we have Palutena. I don't think she's going anywhere, even if we haven't had a new Kid Icarus since Uprising. And Darkpit, like most people, I would wish that he would get more differences, but I don't see him getting cut. And now we have Pac-Man, and as much as his costumes suck, and as much as the presentation of his series is questionable, I really don't think he's getting cut. Much like Sonic, he's an icon. Now we get into Robin and Lucina. Robin uses magic, a very important aspect of the Fire Emblem series, so I don't see them getting cut. And Lucina, she's a popular character. And she's an echo, which means there wouldn't be a lot of benefits from removing her. So I'm going to put her on. She's definitely returning. So we have Shulk. He's the first character to represent his series in Smash, so much like on the logic for previous series, I don't see him being removed. We have Bowser Jr., he's not going anywhere. He still shows up in main Mario games, unlike Rosalina, who is herself still likely to be kept. We have Duck Hunt Duo. I really don't see them getting cut. Their games sold very well back then, and the dog is a very important character to the Nintendo history, for good and bad memories, so I don't see them getting cut. And with that we get to the DLC. Ryu, much like Mega Man, is an important gaming character. I don't think he's going anywhere. Cloud. Square Enix sucks, but he's an important character, so I can see him. I could see him return. I'm going to put him here. Coin. I know they're probably one of the most controversial additions to Smash. There should have been base game of Ultimate instead of Smash 4 DLC for promotion. But they do have a unique moveset, and they represent something pretty much regular from the Fire Emblem series, so I wouldn't be surprised if they're kept around. And finally we have Bayonetta. These days she's pretty much an adopted Nintendo franchise. I don't see her getting cut. And now I think we only have newcomers from Ultimate. So Inkling, they're not being removed at all. Splatoon sold a lot. Even if it didn't, it's the only representation of a Nintendo franchise. Being cut is not like Daisy. I think she's returning. She's a very popular character and she's an Echo, so bringing her back wouldn't be a detriment to the development of the game. That said, give her differences. Give her difference from Peach, please. Her having Peach moveset is perfectly fine. Her shining by her own personality is really great to see. But not having a single gameplay difference is just stupid. So I hope she gets improved in the next game. Ridley, I don't think I need to justify it. Ridley has been requested a lot because he's popular and Metroid really could have used another way. Cutting him would be a very questionable move after all the demand he had. Simon Belmont, I'm not sure actually. Konami has been surprisingly generous about Castlevania representation, and I can see it happen again. I'm going to put him on likely, and Richter as well. For those who don't know, Richter is in the game because pretty much half of Simon's moveset is taken from games where Richter was a protagonist. So it was only fair to have the two together because they borrow each other's moves. Now into Chrom, and he's a tough one. Basically, he's the fourth character to have Marth's moveset as a base, and he's really the source of the jokes and the criticism of Fire Emblem being samey. At the same time, similar to Ridley, he's here because his absence in Smash 4 was questionable and contested. So I can see him returning, but I wouldn't be shocked if he's cut. Dark Summers, she has the same arguments as Daisy and Ridley. Much like Daisy, she's an Echo fighter and she deserves differences. Give her one or two moves unique to her. And much like Ridley, she comes from a franchise that can use the additional representation. So I think she's likely to stay. And for another character that does share something with Ridley, we have King K. Rool. Much like Ridley, he was heavily requested, and he's from a franchise that could use representation because we've only had two for Donkey Kong. Improves the Donkey Kong roster in the next game. Next we have Isabelle, and one, she's from Animal Crossing, and two, she's incredibly popular, so she won't be gone. Next we have Ken, and he's a well-made Echo fighter. Again, Capcom has been generous with the representation. He's pretty much guaranteed. Incineroar, however, he's a tough one. He does have popularity, and he's in Smash because there was potential for a moveset that's pretty unique. But at the same time, he wasn't really one of the most popular Pokemon from his generation, unlike Lucario and Greninja. So I genuinely can see him getting cut. But I'm going to put him on 50-50 because he can be kept around thanks to his moveset, but he also can be cut. And Piranha Plant, actually pretty much the same argument. It could return because it's a unique character, but it could be cut because it's a bit of a joke character. But it's one that I could see sticking around. But for now, I'm going to put it here. And now we get into the Fighters Passes. Joker is a weird one, because he was announced at a time where Persona 5 still had a massive hype. I'm not saying it died nowadays, but you don't hear much of it. I don't think it'd be a good reason to remove him, so I'm going to say he's likely to return. But I think, much like some Fire Emblem characters, he's definitely going to stick around thanks to a lucky timing. Also a total issue with Vin Morgana. After him we have the Heroes, and as I said before, Square Enix sucks. But the Heroes are a genuinely nice group. Obviously, we have the Luminary as a lead because Dragon Quest XI advertisement, but we have 4 characters in one set, which represent different eras of the series. and on that merit, I can see them returning. But I'm pretty sure Earthquake will be the lead. Banjo and Kazooie, I don't see them getting cut because it's been described that Microsoft have been very generous with including them, and there were a very long fan request, and much like Ridley and Carol, cutting a huge fan request like this would be questionable, so they're sticking around. Terry, I can see him sticking around. He did sound like a bit of an oddball character, but he does have a long legacy with the content he brought, and his games do have an importance in some aspect of Smash Bros. So I can see him returning if there aren't some legal issues with SNK. And now we have Violet. Oh boy. As someone who has enjoyed Fire Emblem Three Houses, and as someone who does like their moveset, their inclusion in Smash was, well, the timing of their inclusion in Smash was awful. They were an advertisement pick, and they were being developed before their game even came out. So it doesn't matter that Treehouse was fairly well received, because they aren't there by their own merit. They're here because advertisement. But as I said, their moveset alone represents Fire Emblem better than pretty much everything that came before them. So on that merit, I can see them returning. But I'm going to put them here. I can see them returning. Much like Corinne, the timing was awful. Next we have Min Min, and same argument as some of the previous ones here. She's the first representative of a Nintendo game, so I don't think she's getting cut. Okay, here's the thing. Legacy-wise, this set does deserve to be in Smash. But I think the way it was done was pretty dumb. He doesn't play like a Smash character. He plays like Resource Manager.x. I'll give credit where credit is due. Their kit is unique. It's faithful to their game, and you can do some very unique things with them. It annoys me because it goes against everything that Smash stands for. Without bias, I'll say for the same reasons as Banjo, they are very likely to return, but it's a shame they are most likely not going to be reworked if every previous fighter is anything to go off. Now we have Sephiroth, and I don't think he's likely. Yes, he's popular, he's for a popular game, but the only reason why he's in Ultimate to begin with is because Square Enix are greedy and they wanted Cloud to be paid content, so they accepted to have Cloud in the base game, but they decided to give an awful representation, so the solution could be in paid content, so their obligation to have Final Fantasy representation with paid content would be fulfilled. For that reason, I don't think he's returning, because that's the only reason why he's in Smash. And even then, Final Fantasy representation still sucks, because it's only from Final Fantasy VII. So really, the only way I can see him returning is if we have a repeat in history. We have Cloud with a non-existent representation of Final Fantasy, and Sephiroth as an excuse to allow Square Enix to have their greedy ways. Next up we have Aegis. They're a bit of a weird one, because they could either return or be cut in favor of a more recent representative from their series. That's what happened with Pokemon, that's what happened with Fire Emblem. It can happen again with another RPG series from Nintendo. So I'm going to put them on likely. If they do return, they're probably going to be the new Meta Knight and Bayonetta, and heavily be nerfed for the next game. Next we have Kazuya. I'd say he's very likely. It's weird that it took so long to have a second Bandai Namco representative, but now that we have one from a series that has history and legacy, I don't think Kazuya being gone is something that can happen. And finally we have Sora. Square Enix is already a nightmare to deal with, so now you had Disney into the mix, and it's an even bigger mess. So I'm going to put Sora on 50-50, much like Ridley and Kero and Banjo, and yes, even Steve. He does have the advantage of having been a very requested character, but really, it wouldn't surprise me if he gets removed entirely because of copyright stuff between not only Square Enix, the hardest company that Sakurai had to deal with, but also because you get a non-gaming company, Disney, to allow his appearance here. It's great that Sakurai managed to have Sora at least in one game, and I would wish for his fans that he could remain in a sequel, but if he's not, then we all know why. And there we have it. I think this sums up my opinions on which character could return in the future Smash game, as far into the future that it might be, and which one would be on the fence of not returning. Again, this is only my opinion. If you have a different one, if you think I'm undermining the chances that a specific character has, or if you think I'm overrating their chances, I'm willing to hear a different opinion, as long as it's respectful. Now watch as they actually manage to port Ultimate over and over and make this video entirely pointless. Who knows?